Alright, hello everyone. Things have gotten a bit crazy, and as one of my old lecturers used to say, the brown substance has hit the rotating object. After the events of the 6th of January unfolded, I decided to wait off making a video because I didn't want to have, my intuition taking over and my rational thoughts on the subject, because in doing that I was probably going to say something I would regret. But having seen how everything went down, generally I'm in full agreement with Louis Levi on the subject. So if you have watched his video on the subject of the Capitol being stormed, then basically you already know my opinion, because I'm basically on parallel with him. And in fact, I'd probably suggest you watch that before you watch the rest of this video, as I don't want this video to be, 2 hours long, which it easily could be. But I think it is important to point out rampant media hypocrisy. Obviously, everyone knows how this was reported. All the Trump supporters that went into the Capitol were deemed as violent rioters. Of course, it's the same media that came out with bullshit like this.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis.
They are strictly principled anti-fascists, and they've taken a principled stand to stand against white supremacists and white nationalists wherever they may show up.
Yeah, you get the idea. You want to see the rest of that supercut? It's in the description. Because honestly, we all know that the leftist in the media and all that, they're just a bunch of hypocrites. Everyone knows it, and even the normies know it. And yet nothing seems to change. But hell, it's always fun to point it out. And amazingly, well, not amazingly at all actually, completely predictably, Andy No has reported that overnight a mob of Antifa from Portland descended on the suburb of Tigard, where they tried to break inside the local police department, and when that failed, they proceeded to smash up nearby businesses. And this is the 4th Antifa riot in the Portland area since New Year's Eve. Like, this is where the actual violence was happening. As I said, I pretty much agree with everything Louis Levi said. The worst thing that happened at the Capitol was that woman being shot. That's the most violent thing that happened, and it wasn't even the Trump supporters doing that bit of violence. So they were doing stupid shit as well, like stealing stuff and breaking the windows of the Capitol. I'm totally against that, and quite frankly, those people should be charged for committing crimes. And of course, it wouldn't be the perfect examples of left-wing hypocrisy without Vaush. As you can see, he has a video from about a month ago saying Guatemalan protesters literally light Congress on fire. And in his thumbnail, he literally says, "This could be us, but you playing." So clearly, Vaush is in favour of burning down Congress. But then he says in a tweet, "Pay very close attention to the freedom-loving, law-respecting conservative figures who are fighting tooth and nail to defend a terrorist attack on our Capitol building." Yes, Vaush, you want that. But I sincerely wish that this was the worst things that I have to go through today. But it's not, as Vox came out with this. How a failure to learn from the lessons of Gamergate's hate campaign contributed to the out-of-control violence at the US Capitol yesterday. Honestly, take me back to 2016, man. That's when I found all this online political community stuff. It was the best. It was like walking into the most high-energy place on the internet with all the winning of Brexit and Trump. And it was just after Gamergate finished, so I had to catch up on all that. And they are so salty about losing it that they are blaming a bunch of boomers pissing about in the Capitol. They are blaming that on Gamergate. It's absolutely insane. And while we're on the subject of the world of gaming, Twitch decided that they made the decision to remove the PogChamp emote following statements from the face of the emote encouraging further violence after what took place in the Capitol today. For those wondering, all he basically said was, is there going to be civil unrest for that woman who got shot? We want the sentiment and use of Pog to live on. Its meaning is much bigger than the person depicted or image itself, and it has a big place in the Twitch culture. However, we can't, in good conscience, continue to enable use of the image. Yes, because having the PogChamp emote, that is what is going to cause more people to die in the US. Yes, an emote on Twitch. You absolute spastics. We will work with the community to design a new emote for the most hype moments on Twitch. Well, unfortunately, Twitch, it'll never be as good. So while we're on the subject of Twitch, I may as well react to one Twitch streamer's solution to all the bullshit that went on in the Capitol. Let's have a look.
Why do these chuds gotta like good games about my head? Can't you all just play COD? Here's the thing, that's another reason why more Twitch streamers who are left-wing need to be open about politics.
What do you mean, more Twitch streamers who are left-wing need to be open about politics? Every streamer of the year this year was left-wing. Hassan Piker won Twitch Streamer of the Year, and he said America deserved 9/11. How much more open do you want to get?
Because the fucking gamer to fascist pipeline is so prevalent.
Many such cases. I've got to say, I've owned pretty much every COD since Modern Warfare 2, and beaning idiots on that game literally turned me into a fascist. Running around with my friend calling other people who said we had aimbots idiots. Yeah, man, direct pipeline to fascism. That's exactly what happened. Oh, wait, I'm a minarchist. I want less state power. I don't want any censorship. I don't believe in racial supremacy. Yeah, I'm missing actually all the hallmarks of a fascist. What the hell are you talking about?
Twitch is a massive platform, like, where lots of people go to watch video games, yeah? Like, lots of these people are just, like, single white dudes in their fucking basement, probably still living at home.
Hey, I'm not in the basement.
Hating their fucking lives. They have something to hate. They don't know what it is. They get real angry. They go on the internet. They look for things to get mad about. And what do they see? Joe Rogan. Who does Joe Rogan have on his podcast? Gavin McInnes, Jordan Peterson.
I'm sorry, Gavin McInnes, founder of the Proud Boys. Well, that's true. Don't know your issue with the Proud Boys. Jordan Peterson, transphobe, misogynist. Yeah, where do I even start? Jordan Peterson's such a misogynist that he literally lets his daughter do what she wants. Literally lets her do what she wants. Yeah, man. True misogynist, true hater of women. I mean, this is just ridiculous. The guy can only cite these two people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with either of them, basically. Apparently these two people are the reason that we have fascists about. No. Fascists hate these two people. You've got to realise that. Listen to anyone in the alt-right. They do not like Jordan Peterson or Gavin McInnes because both of them aren't racist.
All these other fucking people, you know? All these other actual white supremacists.
All these other white supremacists. Dude, the two people you cited in your little brackets explaining why they are bad, you didn't have white supremacists in either of them. The Proud Boys are a very diverse group of people who just love America, dude. They are not in any way white supremacist. And Jordan Peterson, also not a white supremacist. You couldn't cite a single white supremacist who went on Joe Rogan. Stop your fucking bullshit.
Oh, these people sound like they're talking my language. Let's go find out more about them. That's right, it's the feminists and the gays, the trans people and the black people.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what my channel has been saying. The only bit you were correct about was that, yes, it is the feminists causing a lot of problems. Not women. And, you know, it's the LGBT radicals that are causing problems. Not the gays, not the trans. You know, I actually quite like some trans people. Rose of Dawn is a good friend of mine. You know, and it's not the black people that are the issue. It is Black Lives Matter. It is the ideas that are cancerous that I don't like. You fucking moron.
No, just because you are a single white person in your mum's basement who's got something to hate doesn't mean you are a fascist. What I'm saying is that's the beginning of where most cis white people end up going, I hate my fucking life. How do I make it better? Who do I hate? Who's responsible? And instead of finding capitalism as the problem and fascism, actually no, what they do is they go, oh, that shit that's already been programmed into my brain by the media over hundreds of fucking years. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I knew it was them. Obviously it's them, because I've always hated them, because it's just bred into me.
Over hundreds of years? Dude, the single white cis het people that you fucking hate, by the way, aren't over 100 years old, you fucking idiot. How the fuck can they be programmed from media 100 years ago? Have you ever read media from 100 years ago anyway? I think you'd be surprised to learn that media over the past 100 years has not been this pro-fascist, racist, misogynistic hellhole that you think it is. Read something other than Marx, other than Engels. In fact, you probably haven't even fucking read them. And go open up your mind to the world, you fucking Twitch echo-chambered moron. Now, the reason I went through that is because that is probably the popular opinion within the people who control Twitch. They probably agree with this guy. So Twitch isn't safe to go to. I've just heard that Nick Fuentes has been banned off D Live, which was supposed to be the alternative to Twitch. So this is kind of the problem. Where do conservative people go? Because this is the thing. I mean, we haven't got into it yet, but there's obviously some sort of slippery slope here. At first, it was just Alex Jones and, people who you can more easily tell the normies is a mental conspiracy theorist, even though if most of what he says turns out to be true. And then the next day, it's people who aren't as bad as Alex Jones, but I won't get into it yet. Because first, I want to get through some rancid things that the people in power have been saying. So first up, we have Michelle Obama. And she has this big, long thing that she wrote about, the Reverend Raphael Warnock's victory in Georgia, all that, and then she goes on to say something like this. I think we all know the answer. This summer, Black Lives Matter protests were an overwhelmingly peaceful movement. Yes, 93% peaceful, according to a study. I hope it was worth burning down major cities in America. Our nation's largest demonstrations ever, bringing together people of every race and class and encouraging millions to re-examine their own assumptions and behaviour. And yet, in city after city, day after day, we saw peaceful protesters met with brute force. Yeah, it's probably because they were burning down cities. We saw cracked skulls and mass arrests. Law enforcement pepper spraying its way through a peaceful demonstration for a presidential photo op. And for those who call others unpatriotic for simply taking a knee in silent protest, for those who wonder why we need to be reminded that Black Lives Matter at all, yesterday made it painfully clear that certain Americans are, in fact, allowed to denigrate the flag and symbols of our nation. They've just got to look the right way. It's ridiculous. The amount of covering that, Black Lives Matter and Antifa have got over the years, after they have quite clearly been one of the most violent groups that we have ever seen. Literally, and I mean literally, taking over blocks of cities to have their own mini-state within these major cities, only for there to be crime sprees, is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, Michelle, the Chaz did have cracked skulls because they shouldn't have been there. What did it take for the skulls to start getting cracked? Oh, all it took was for Antifa to end up going to the mayor's house and causing her problems. The elite do not give a shit about the proles. There's a second part to this as well, and the only bit I'm really going to read from this is this second paragraph. I hurt for our country, and I wish I had all the solutions to make things better. I wish I had the confidence that people who know better will act like it for more than a news cycle or two. All I know is that it is a time for true patriotism. Now is the time for those who voted for this president to see the reality of what they've supported and publicly been forcefully rebuke him and the actions of that mob. Now is the time for Silicon Valley companies to stop enabling this monstrous behaviour and go even further than they already have by permanently banning this man from their platforms and putting in place policies to prevent their technology from being used by the nation's leaders to fuel insurrection. Yes, she is calling for the banning of the 45th President of the United States. She should probably be careful what she wishes for, but let's be fair, she won't. So, Big Tech did exactly what she said. Trump is banned from everything. He's banned from Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Shopify, Twitch, Trump Gaming's down, boys, and websites that were selling Trump's merchandise. All gone. Just been completely memory holed. Doesn't exist anymore. And honestly, in the future, he probably won't ever exist. There'll probably just be a big hole in the history books between 2016 and 2020. Obviously, that's hyperbole, and I don't think... even that, I think, is too big for Big Tech to do. I mean, what happened on the 6th of January is going to be imprinted in pretty much everyone's minds. And you can pretty much pinpoint when this banning happened, because there is quite a clear drop in Twitter's stock. It's about 6:30 in, I believe this is Pacific time. Just a big old drop. I believe it dropped nearly 4% there. And honestly, rest in peppers the reply guys to Trump. But after this happened, Parler and Gab also went down momentarily, because it must have been hundreds of thousands of people trying to go there to either make accounts or follow everyone else on that platform, because we're all in trouble of getting yeeted now. If Big Tech can just flip the table and say, okay, the 45th President of the United States cannot have a public platform for the rest of his presidency and his years as a former president, then what chance do us proles have? I mean, seriously. I think now's a good time to point out that all links to all alternative social media sites to, listen to me rant about whatever, are available in the description, and I made a Rumble account the other day. You can find me on BitChute, but the videos don't upload to there anymore for some reason. I've been trying to sort that out, but they should be uploading to Rumble soon, because I think it's only a matter of time before I'm yeeted off YouTube as well. I mean, I'm one of the smaller channels, luckily, so I might last quite a bit longer than some of the bigger ones who are more explicitly, let's say, right-wing than I am. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Let's have a look at Twitter's justification for banning the 45th President of the United States. So I'm just going to skip straight to the assessment. We assessed the 2 tweets referenced above under our glorification of violence policy, which aims to prevent the glorification of violence that could inspire others to replicate violent acts, and determined they were highly likely to encourage and inspire people to replicate the criminal acts that took place at the US Capitol on January 6, 2021. The determination is based on a number of factors, including President Trump's statement that he will not be attending the inauguration is being received by a number of his supporters as further confirmation that the election was not legitimate, and is seen as him disavowing his previous claim made via 2 tweets by his Deputy Chief of Staff, Dan Scavio, that there would be an orderly transition on January the 20th. And for those wondering what these tweets are, it is these 2. On January the 8th, 2021, President DJ Trump tweeted, "The 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape or form." Can't say I agree with Twitter that is promoting violence. And shortly thereafter, President tweeted, "To all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. So, if I'm reading this right, they are saying that President Trump is doing a "some of you guys are cool, don't go to the inauguration on January 20th. I'm sorry, Twitter, are you out of your minds? Let's finish off this assessment. The second tweet may also serve as encouragement to those potentially considering violent acts that the inauguration will be a safe target as he will not be attending. Yes, they are actually unironically doing the real life "some of you guys are cool" meme. The use of the words American patriots to describe some of his supporters is also being interpreted as support for those committing violent acts at the US Capitol. Yeah, you can only really say this if, Twitter deleted a video from Donald Trump saying, "Don't do these violent acts, you will be arrested." Oh, Twitter did delete that, sorry. The mention of his supporters having a giant voice long into the future and that they will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape or form is being interpreted as further indication that President Trump does not plan to facilitate an orderly transition, and instead that he plans to continue to support, empower and shield those who believe he won the election. Plans for the future armed protests have already begun, proliferating on and off Twitter, including a proposed secondary attack on the US Capitol and state capitol buildings on January 17, 2021. Why is Trump being blamed for that? Why is Trump being blamed for that? No, Twitter, you are talking bollocks. None of this is inciting violence. Trump is going the peaceful route now because maybe he sees that things have got too out of hand for him to control. But him and many other American patriots, as he put it, would like the MAGA and nationalist movement to continue, despite this Capitol building siege. And that is all Trump is tweeting about. He is saying, yes, a mistake was made, but to the people who exercise their rights to vote for me, they will not be treated unfairly because of this. This is not him saying or promoting any type of violence. This is the weakest excuse that I've seen in my life, and quite frankly, I think Capitol siege or not, this was going to happen either way. The problem is with the Capitol attack, a lot of normies actually seem to agree with this, at least ones that I have talked to. So convincing them otherwise is not going to be an easy task. And of course, Facebook had a similar post by Mark Zuckerberg, but honestly, it's like everything. If one tech giant does something with some bizarre, vague reason, odds are all the other tech companies, when they do the same thing, have the same bizarre and unjustifiable reason. As it was with Alex Jones, it is with Donald Trump, and this slope is only getting steeper and slipperier. And just so you know how bad things are, ex-free speech warrior Sam Harris, yes, this is Sam Harris, who has just TDS to the max. I mean, this is ridiculous. He tweeted this: "There's an important debate to have about the wisdom of kicking Trump off Twitter. I still believe that it should have happened years ago, and that we've paid a terrible price for the delay. But for the moment, all I want to say is thanks at Jack. I genuinely think the worst thing about this tweet isn't that Sam Harris thinks it's an acceptable position to say Donald Trump shouldn't be kicked off Twitter. He's saying that the wisdom of the debate is when should he have been kicked off Twitter, which is just crazy. I cannot believe Sam Harris has fallen this far from grace. Well, I'd say that if I didn't realise he'd turn into a massive... He was always a massive midwit. The man has no principles at this point. The man thinks that you can derile, mock, and say what you want about Islam all you want, but the 45th President of the United States should never have had a Twitter account and voiced his opinion online. The mind genuinely boggles. And as if it couldn't get any worse, Paul Mason from The Guardian, an occasional writer for The New Statesman, basically a lifelong socialist, said, "Bravo, Jack, now to platform all fascists, declare yourself a publisher responsible for content and purge the bots. And as a Parler user, I'd be happy to see it off the App Store. It's a cesspool. This, in a way, is the Kraken. Just not the one the fash expected." This is what I'd call drunk with power, and this is why people say horseshoe theory is real. As soon as either the right-wing authoritarians or the left-wing authoritarians get a whiff of power, they tend to get very drunk on it and become the most censorious pricks in the world. And I would like to remind The Guardian that on their comments section they have an entire article that is permanently there with this particular line. "The voice of the opponents, no less than that of friends, has a right to be heard. Comment also is justly subject to a self-imposed restraint. It is well to be frank. It is even better to be fair. This is an ideal. Achievement in such matters is hardly given to man. Perhaps none of us can attain to it in the desirable measure, but we can try, ask pardon for shortcomings, and there leave the matter." Or to translate, free speech is for all, not just those people you like. Paul Mason, writer for The Guardian. And it just gets worse and worse. This is all of big tech. This isn't just Twitter. I know I'm focusing on Twitter, but Twitter seems to be the kind of lightning rod for all this. But Instagram, which is a Facebook company, have just been deleting pictures and videos that show anything from the day of 6th of January at the protest outside of the Capitol and the actual siege within the Capitol. It's very, very odd. They want everything to do with the day just deleted, it seems. And unfortunately, this isn't all just big tech making their move. This tweet pretty much sums up everything that's happened within an hour. Michael Flynn was banned from Twitter, Sidney Powell was banned from Twitter, Donald Trump was banned from Twitter, and Parler was given 24-hour ultimatum from the App Store, basically to ban the fash from their website. The House is to introduce impeachment resolution on Monday. They are trying to impeach Trump again, and Pelosi told generals to hide nukes. I mean, I'm going to be honest, this looks more like a regime that's about to fall apart, and they are doing some last-minute grabs of power to try and keep it going. And honestly, it seems like they've got a free 4 years to consolidate power even more, if they can. We're heading into dark times, boys, we really are. A lot of people who are a lot bigger than me, such as Sargon, they feel their days are numbered. They are probably going to be memory hold as well, along with Trump. And honestly, the way the slippery slope goes, I wouldn't be surprised if that's this year. I mean, God knows how long my channel's going to last. Hopefully a bit longer than a year. I really enjoy doing this, and the streams I do. But if big tech don't think I should exist, then they will just get rid of me. I am at their mercy. Which I would usually say is fine, that's just capitalism, I can move elsewhere. But the problem is, I can't move elsewhere. Because they are also trying to take over Parler. They are trying to impose their will on Rumble and BitChute. They have everything, and your online presence is limited. There's not an awful lot you can do apart from try and make your own, but that is incredibly difficult. So I'm not against, and was never against, Trump doing something about this, but he just didn't for 4 years. So I guess big tech's punishment on him now could be said to be karma for that, really. It is one of the big disappointments of Trump that he didn't drain the swamp in Silicon Valley, though he did do what he could within the government, I suppose. But unfortunately it seemed not to be good enough, and well, we were all hoping for another 4 years of it, and hopefully he could do more then, but that dream appears to be over. There's nothing more we can do, it seems. We've got 4 years of President Kamala Harris. So prepare, boys. I'm sorry to blackpill you, but I can't see any other options for now. The normies seem to be on side with this. They either don't care or think, oh yeah, Trump was encouraging violence. Look at all these Trump supporters going into the Capitol and, committing violence, they'll say. So trying to get the normies on side with MAGA, I mean, it's working for a time, but this might be a temporary setback for that. But I am certain that we can keep this going, because we need to do what we can to drain this swamp, I'm afraid. So I shall continue to do so, but that was everything I had for you today. The shit truly has hit the fan, and I can only see things getting worse before they get better, but, well, as I said, that's everything I had for you today. So, as usual, thank you very much for watching. Follow me on alternative social media accounts, they'll be in the description. And until next time, goodbye.